We promised all the fatties this week. No, we're talking specifically about this, that gluttony is not just overeating.
No.
As part of God's good creation, food reminds us that we are not self-sufficient, that we depend on something outside of our life. Food can heal, food can sustain, but we can see in Genesis 2 and 3, food can also kill. Talking about Eve taking from the food. As we consider the sin of gluttony, it's significant that the fall of mankind played itself out in the first couple's palates. The temptation was all about the appetite. Our fall from grace could have involved a murder, as with Cain and Abel. It could have involved rape or incest or any other wickedness, but instead, man's fate of mankind was bound up in a snack. Why?
Can I read the crux
Yes.
of the gluttony? Like what I think is the crux of the issue. And with gluttony, we look to food to satisfy some deeper craving, whether for comfort, for purpose, or for sense of control. And so that's the crux of it, I think. And then it says, for this reason, for this reason, it won't do when addressing gluttony to say we should simply will ourselves to eat less. We pay close attention to our desires as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's, to me, as someone that works with people all the time, including myself, that has struggled with every addiction known to mankind, this would just be another addiction I would have. And it might not turn into like overeating to the extent where like I'm obese, let's say, but it's so much about just like the emotional eating, right?
Oh, yeah.
And like I'm an emotional eater. It's so obvious now, right? Like it's especially
Escape.
You strip everything else away. You strip away booze, you strip away smoking, you strip away, it's an escape. It's just like,
reminds me of a sermon that Pastor Jonathan did last year on fasting. And he said one of the points of fasting is so that you see how grumpy you can get without food and how quickly, we
that's our thing
sin.
that we go to. Or we sin in another area.
Yeah, it covers our sin. Like our gluttony covers our sin, and it covers our, and I noticed just in the last month, interestingly, like trying to cut out weed completely, I was going to food more. I don't know what you think of you going to food before that, but but I was going to food.
Why didn't we think of that before?
Yeah.
It's too high, Your Honor.
All some M&M's showing up in the house way more.
Yeah. So, and then on the next page, it's kind of like what you talked about. Like gluttony, therefore, is food worship displayed both in excessive eating and in pharisaical avoidance. So they talk about dieting and all the fads that people do, right? Like it's just this, it's all about that. It's like, no, it's something way deeper, right? And I think that's the beauty of the journey that we're on, that we've been on, that many people are on with me. It's like, okay, no, we're finding out what's deeper.
Yeah.
And then those things, as a general rule, will, like, you can't just cut stuff out. Like that just does not work. You can do it for a season, but you can't do it with everything. You're just playing whack-a-mole, right? It'll just
literally. Start with the big ones, but also, and Dave Curry taught me this, and I think teach it at Freedom Session and other places as well, is to trade up. In addictions, especially, it's just like, trade up for a less damaging addiction.
Choice.
But also that when you're trying to get healthy, if you remove your vices, you will expose the hurts and the things that are actually bugging you. And often that gets like just mitigated because we're always working, or we're, covering it with whatever drug we have. This other quote sticks out to me. Remember that self-control is freedom and gluttony is bondage. Gluttony often tempts us into believing that restraining our impulses is oppressive and limiting. But like all righteous boundaries, self-control creates a space for our flourishing under God. The glutton does not truly enjoy food. He is imprisoned by it. Which is addiction, right? Addiction is you're in prison. Yeah.
Can I blow through the strategies for the fight?
Yes.
Okay. I'll read them. There's quite a few of them. One, remember that self-control is freedom and gluttony is bondage. You said that. Then remember that self-control is a gift of God, not a result of self-reliant willpower. That's probably the most important one for Dutch people to remember. Lots of Dutch people listen to this podcast. I know that.
Okay, explain that. Remember that self-control is a gift of God, not a result of self-reliant willpower.
Because Dutch people just try harder, right? And most of their life is the success that they've had. I mean, they'll say it's a gift from God, but it's like hard work. Hard work is like, it's the whole, it's totally the mindset of Dutch people. I'm stereotyping so bad, but it's just, I'm saying the culture that I'm immersed in. I'm not saying Dutch people in general. I'm saying the culture that I'm in. It's just like try harder, work harder, and you can conquer. And it's like, no, like
Surrender.
just give up, right? And then 3, remember that Christ has atoned for our gluttony and given us a spirit of self-control, which we would need to do when we fall short, which we often will. And 4, I thought was interesting, glut yourself on Jesus. Jesus is the true bread that has come down from heaven.
And it says, I like what it says there because it quotes Jonathan Edwards, and he's just a gem. He says, there is no such thing as excess in our taking of spiritual food. There is no such virtue as temperance in spiritual feasting.
Interesting. Yeah. And then view the Lord's table as a training ground for self-control. Set aside time for occasional fasting. Set aside time for occasional feasting. And give thanks before your meal. And then memorize scripture. So, and then stay active is the last one, which I think they all tie in really well together, right? I think, and that's what I love about this book. I was talking to someone the other day I ran into randomly that bought it and was reading along, and it was just like, man, there's so many good truths and so many practical things that if you're reading this and you're trying to do the right things that you could get out of this book. So
I'm gonna stay active one. Idleness is a petri dish for gluttony. How often do we simply eat because we're bored? We have nothing better to do. Physical activity, on the other hand, can regulate our cravings and even increase our enjoyment for food. Yeah.
I find that if I exercise, and I'm a nighttime exerciser, if I exercise at night, I'm less likely to gorge at night than if I absolutely did nothing, sat around, was in a meeting all night, and then I want to eat. Like, it's fascinating. You would think like you'd be hungry after burning
feeds off
whack calories. So anyways, great chapter. One chapter left.
Last next week.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about our listening. Hey guys, if you enjoy that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.